Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Through the Cycles. I am your host, Deanna, and today we're going to talk about outgrowing your friends, outgrowing people in general. I think this concept of sort of growing and leaving certain things behind is something that really hit home for me and was almost like earth shattering. And there was a lot of things that I didn't want to necessarily let go of at the time, but because I was growing so rapidly, I really had no other choice. So let's have a little chit chat today about friendship, outgrowing friends, and allowing the past to shed away so that you can really bring in new, beautiful things into your life. So, when it comes to friends, this is an area in my life that I've sort of always struggled. I've typically made friends with guys easier than I have made friends with girls for whatever the reason. That definitely seems to be a pattern that I have noticed happen throughout most of my life. And that has led me, with a lot of insight into how boys work and how they operate around their friends. And it's definitely helped me understand the male brain. It's also been surprising and shocking at times, but I've always typically always been friends with guys. Now, the kind of friendship that I've had with guys is always one of the bros. I typically am kind of welcome into a male friend group just as one of the guys. There's never any like weird sexual stuff going on or like attractions or anything like that. I pretty much can sense that from them. And they say that guys will meet a girl for the first time and pretty much decide if they want to marry them, if they want to fuck them, or if they don't want to ever speak to them. And yeah, that's kind of always been the vibe between me and my guy friends. It's just like, I'm just one of the bros. I'm just here for a good time. And they know it's nothing more than that. Now, male and female friendships, very controversial. People feel that guys and girls can't just be friends. I am on the completely other end of the stick. I think guys and girls can just be friends, and I don't know why there's really any chatter otherwise about it. I've seen it firsthand throughout my life. I have had many guy friends, many guy best friends, and nothing weird has ever come of it. Now, there are guys out there who will pose as your friend, as your best friend, and are secretly in love with you. That is sort of a whole separate conversation where they kind of pretend to be best friends with you, and then a couple months later, they maybe throw in the fact that they really like you, or maybe they try to kiss you. And yeah, that's the sticky situation. I've kind of been in those situations before, and it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm like, wait. I thought we were friends, and now you're trying to kiss me. So, not the vibe. But I do believe guys and girls can just be friends. I have a ton of guy friends who I love dearly, who love me dearly in a very platonic friendship kind of way. So being friends with guys and being kind of one of the boys is a really nice thing. It's really chill. It's really laid back. They don't really talk much shit. They don't really think too deeply about things. Everything is pretty much very surface level is what I've noticed. I'm usually the one in the group sort of digging stuff out of them, trying to get them to share more and open up more with me, with each other. I'm usually the one who's like, so how's everybody's life? So who's talking to a new girl? Do you like her? Do you want to date her? Have you had sex with her? Like, really coercing and asking them the questions, because I've just noticed that they really don't ask each other. And while that is all really fun and chill and laid back and allows me to express the side of myself that is more chill, I do sort of like crave that connection with a female that's like just your girl best friend where you can rant with them and dive into things really deeply and have these like very introspective conversations about life and boys and your job and things you get to talk to the girlies about. And because I have more guy friends than girlfriends throughout my whole life, still to this day, I do feel that like draw for female friendship. It's a little bit hard to, gather up my guy friends and be like, let's go shopping. And on the way there, we're going to sing a bunch of songs at the top of our lungs. And then we're going to get to the mall and we're going to dive really deep into what's been going on into our lives. And you're going to ask me every single detail. And I'm going to be more than happy to share. And then I'm going to ask you every single detail. And we're going to try on cute little clothes. And then we're going to get a coffee. And then we're going to get back in my car, sing a bunch of songs on the way home, come home, try on our clothes for each other, gas each other up, and then have a beautiful day. It's hard to do that, with your guy friends. There are some things that only the girls get and only the girls understand. Yeah, so right now I am sort of craving that female friendship, to just hang out with the girls, to just fuck off with the girls. And I know that that's coming for me very soon. So I'm really excited to have that again. I lived in a house in college with a bunch of girls, and I loved them all very much in different ways. But at a certain point, you kind of know when friendships are over. And for me, I had a pretty big friendship end during college. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I had a lot of friendships end during college. 3 very large ones. 3 who were my best friends. And I'm going to get into sort of why we outgrew each other and how I came to the point of really deciding like, okay, this friendship's over. So let's start with one of my best friends at the time. He was a guy. We had been best friends for, I don't know, several years throughout high school. We knew each other in grammar school, but we really, really became like best friends in high school. And during college, I was away at college. He was away doing other things. And there was something that shifted in us that was no longer friendly. And what I mean by that is I went through a very deep spiritual awakening during my freshman year of college, and my mind started to change about how I saw the world, and the pandemic was happening at the time, and there was a transition in power in our presidency, and there was just a lot of shift going on in the world, and I was shifting along with it. I was on a trajectory that was consciousness and spiritual awakening and the power of manifestation and good vibes and karma and yoga and all of these very big things. And my best friend at the time was sort of not on that path. And every time we would hang out while I was going through this spiritual awakening, there was just some sort of disconnect. There was something that wasn't quite the same as it used to be. And now looking back on it, I can see that I was changing in who I was, and I wasn't okay with talking how we normally talked, or talking shit about people, or doing all of these like low vibrational activities. I didn't want to drink every night. I didn't want to hang out in a dingy garage, and just, it was very all low life kind of things. And my life at the time was transcending. So we had a little bit of space from each other. Obviously, I was back and forth to college, but things started to really, really break off between us. This was like the moment that I was like, okay, I do not want to be friends with him anymore. I had something really traumatic happen to me that year, and he also had something really traumatic happen to him that year. And we hadn't talked in a couple of months because he went away and I was at college, and he finally got access to his phone again, and he texted me, and I basically told him that I was like really going through it and like really having a tough time with what was going on with me, and I was just not feeling my best. And he proceeded to respond that, I should just get over it, that it's not a big deal. And in that moment, I was just immediately like, this is not somebody that I want to have as a friend, that I want to have close to me moving forward. And that was pretty much the moment that I knew we wouldn't be friends any longer. I was very hurt by what he said and the way he went about it. When you're best friends with somebody, you know them in and out, and you know the experiences they go through in and out. So it was so shocking for me to hear him say, just get over it, because he knew the situation. He knew it first fucking hand. And I was just baffled that he could say that to me. Yeah, so we were both shifting in our lives, in our perspective towards the world, in completely different directions. So he was going here and I was going here, and there was no way to get back to here where we were best fucking friends. Ending that friendship was absolutely terrible. And I went back and forth a lot about it and tried to reason with myself and reason with him. Like maybe I could get back to being best friends, and maybe I'm being dramatic and overreacting. But there were so many things that led up to that point that I pretty much had enough. But ending the friendship was all love on my end, and still all love to this day. I respect the fuck out of him and love the fuck out of him and support him, from afar. Some people just aren't meant to be in your life forever. And that was the sad truth that I had to face with him. There was another outgrowing of friendship that happened similarly in the time frame. I was definitely going through that spiritual awakening and shedding a lot of people out of my life. Some people, just weren't as significant as others, but my girl best friend at the time, things were just sort of not working with me on my end. I had struggled with my relationship with her for years. We had been friends for pretty much a decade, and she had really been there for me during a time in my life when I needed her there the most. And she was like, she would always show up for me. She was rock fucking solid. And I will always, always say that about her to this day. She was there no matter what. And I was there no matter what, but towards the end of our friendship, it was harder for me to be there. I was doing things out of obligation. I was showing up for her out of obligation. I was going to stuff I knew she wanted me to go to out of obligation. It wasn't out of love. It wasn't out of, I want to do this. And that was when I really started to notice that something's not right here. I wasn't doing things for her because I wanted to do them for her. I was doing things for her because I felt like I had to. It felt like a chore. And when something feels like a chore, you shouldn't be doing it. I put up with it for a decent amount of time. I was always the friend in the friendship who liked space. I like space with friends. I like space in relationships. I think it's really important to be your own person and not be codependent on somebody. And she definitely had a bit of codependency in her. And that was highlighted throughout our friendship a lot. And I'll be honest, towards the end of our friendship, I felt like I was using her. I was using her when I needed her, but I didn't really want to be there when she needed me. When I wanted to FaceTime and rant about shit that was going on in my life, I knew I could call her and we would be on the phone for 5 or 6 hours or however long I needed to get shit off my chest. And she would sit there and she would listen and she would help. But I wasn't doing the same. I would use her for rides to pick me up when I was drunk. I would use her to go hang out when I was lonely. It was sort of becoming like a really toxic friendship. And I'm not proud to admit that, to be honest, but I felt like I was backed into a corner and I felt like I didn't really know what to do. I loved her so much, and the thought of ending the friendship was taxing because I knew that it was an all or nothing sort of situation with her, that I couldn't just take a step back and hang out every once in a while or FaceTime every once in a while or text every once in a while. I knew that if I was creating distance between us, that was it. She wouldn't want a sometimes FaceTime call or a sometimes hangout. She either wanted a best fucking friend who she saw and talked to every single day or nothing. And that was the decision I was kind of faced with. We outgrew each other in terms of I was changing into a person that I didn't even recognize. And she knew a version of me that was fabricated and was misconstrued, and I was stepping into a totally different version of me that was authentic and truthful, and being around her made me feel like my old self, made me feel like a fraud again, made me feel like I was putting up that face to the world and I was doing bad shit and I was being toxic with boys. And it was just because I was her, because I was around her when I was that person, that now as this changed person being around her again, it was sucking me back into that void and I couldn't do it. I tried to do it. I tried to separate the two of them, you know, who am I with her and who am I through this new version of me, and it just didn't work. Eventually, I came to the point where the timing was honestly really bad. I wish that it was different, but I couldn't handle it anymore for my own mental health. I could no longer be in that friendship. And I had enough. So essentially I stopped sharing my location. That was like pretty much what did it. And even that, like, I share my location with nobody ever, like throughout my entire life. My mom and dad have my location, and because like they're my mom and dad, they don't even check it like crazy. It's just like a comfort thing for them. I always hated the fact that I had to share my location with her. I would shut it off a lot. It just felt like a toxic relation. It felt like we were dating at times, and the relationship was fucking toxic. So that was because I had literally always wanted to, that was my first step away. I unshared the location. I knew that was going to cause, flags to raise for her, and obviously it did. We went back and forth a little bit through text, and I essentially was just like, I love you and I wish you the best, and I really hope you absolutely find yourself and surround yourself with people that will make you a better person. Because I just think us being around each other I was not a good person, she was not a good person, and I needed to remove myself from the equation. That was a tough one. That was a really tough pill to swallow. The pill was so fucking big. It was so hard to swallow because not only was I letting go of this friendship I had with her, I was letting go of the old version of myself. And it was sad. I was mourning the friendship, and I was mourning who I was and who I was stepping into. And that was confusing and complicated. And I felt very guilty for ending that friendship. I didn't know if I did the right thing. Sometimes I still don't know if I did the right thing, because I have so much love for her and respect for her. It just didn't work. And I tried so many times for it to work. And fortunately, I am reminded that I did do the right thing. And distancing myself from her was the best thing I could have done. And the last friendship, the last big one that I went through during that freshman year of college. This one's a little bit different. This one, I didn't choose to exit. This requires a little bit of backstory, and I think that it's honestly very relatable. Me and this girl had been friends since freshman year of college. We pretty much hit things off right away. We were very similar in the sense that we were both like very laid back and low maintenance, and we had similar interests. And honestly, I have her to thank for my spiritual awakening. She was the one who really opened the door for me in that department, like with tarot cards and all of that stuff. But anyway, we were friends all throughout college. And there was one night we were out at the bar and she met a boy, very normal college things. So essentially what happened was she started talking to this guy she met at the bar. And when your best friend gets a boyfriend, there's a lot of things that sort of happen. You kind of never see them again. You are a little bit jealous if you're not in a relationship and they're in a relationship. You lose your party buddy. You lose your bar buddy. You lose that cheeky little flirt with people at the bar together kind of innocent. So there's a lot that goes down when it comes to your best friend getting into a relationship. But this was I don't know. I don't know if people go through this, but anyway, she starts dating this boy. And from the very beginning, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't like him. I don't trust him. Like, something's off about him. And I'm sure in her head, she was just kind of like, okay, like, she's fucking jealous. Fuck her. And I'm going to date this boy because I like this boy. And that's fair, right? Because when you first start talking to a boy and you're excited and he's really cute and he's telling you all these amazing things, like you kind of have those rose-colored glasses on, right? And you kind of get love bombed a little bit. And that's exactly what happened to my dear friend. She got fucking love bombed. So she starts dating this guy. And I was just like, absolutely not. I don't like him. I don't like this, blah, 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 blah. So I went on a family vacation to Italy, so I was gone for a little bit. And when I came back, pretty much all hell broke loose in my college house. We had lived together in that house. They had officially started dating, and some truth came out about him. He had lied about his name. He had lied about his age. He had lied about the fact that he was married and had a child. So pretty big fucking things, right? And at that time, I didn't want to be the bitch to be like, I told you so. At that time, I was just concerned for her and how devastated she probably was and how much, she probably no longer wanted to be with this person. So I actually did not find out that news from her. I found it out from another girl in my house. She knocked on my door at like 7 a.m. the day I got back from Italy and was like, D, like, we need to talk. Told me that all of this was happening and that my best friend didn't want to tell me because she was scared. Now, I can be harsh. I can definitely be harsh. My delivery sometimes can be a little bit better, and I'll be the first person to admit that. So I can understand why she was scared to tell me, but I was in the moment hurt that she didn't tell me, hurt that I was the last to know, and hurt that she was trying to hide it from me. So I spoke with her directly about it, expecting, the relationship with this guy and her to not progress. And essentially she was like, I'm cool with it. I'm going to stay with him. And yeah, that was the end of the beginning. I told her to her face, you're being stupid. You're going to get hurt. He's gaslighting you. He directly lied to your face after he love bombed you for months, lying about his age, his name, the fact that he's married and has a child. And by the way, the age was significant, okay? Significant. We were college girls. Nonetheless, I pretty much gave her a tough love spiel, and she didn't want to hear it. And that was it. We never saw her. She was in her room, no joke, 24 hours of the day. She stopped going to classes. She stopped cooking dinner in the kitchen. Anytime that I was home, she wouldn't come out of her room. Anytime that I was around, she wouldn't come out of her room. And I made it very clear that I didn't want to be around him. But in their relationship, they were never apart. So that meant I never saw her. And it was really just this like fucking weird living situation. Like, I don't know. The whole thing, looking back on it, was just really fucked up. And I felt so bad for her. I watched her destroy her life. I watched her destroy her friendship with me, her friendship with everybody else, her school life, her social life. Everything was ruined for this boy. And up until the very end, we never talked about it. And she never looked my way. She literally would barely look at me in the eyes. And there's a lot more detail, and things really got blown out of proportion. And somehow I was made to be the villain in the situation when I was really the only friend being honest with her that this is fucking crazy and you should absolutely not be with this guy. And somehow I was the bad guy. But I will take the bad guy any day. I stand by what I said. I feel the exact same about what I said. And I saw firsthand how for a year and a half, he destroyed her mind, her body, and her spirit. And my heart still fucking breaks for her. So in that sense, we outgrew each other in a way different light, right? She was sort of growing into somebody else and completely isolated herself from the rest of the world. And that happens a lot in relationships, especially in toxic relationships. If you feel like you have no friends, or you lost your friends, or maybe you only spend time with your significant other, just take a step back and really look at that. Take a step back and really see what's going on there, because they isolate you from your friends and family for a reason. So do with that what you will. But yeah, that was a really sad one for me. I loved her so much. I still love her so much. And there was just no closure. It was very up in the air, and it was very hearing shit from other girls in the house and what was really true. And I still don't fucking know what's true and what's not true, and how she really feels about the situation. If she's still with that guy, I have no idea. But I am very fucking curious, because I lost my friend over that fucking bozo. And he was a fucking bozo, a lowlife loser who was taking advantage of young girls. We would fucking lock our bedroom doors at night because we were scared to be living in the same house as him. Living in the same house as him. He fully fucking moved in. He should have been paying rent. But I had already said a lot, so I zipped it up at a certain point and let her live her life how she wanted to live her life, because there was no stopping it. That one has no real conclusion there, because it was left very up in the air. Have not heard from her since, and college is over. So we'll probably never hear from her again. But yeah, that one breaks my heart. That one really sucks, because watching it unfold in real life, watching the relationship unfold in front of me was fucked up. So yeah, friends are a tricky one. Friends are really tough. I know I haven't had an easy go around with friends, and I'm sure you haven't either. We've all had these hiccups and sort of these periods where we outgrow certain people. And if I've learned anything from it, it's just that not everybody's meant to be in your life forever. And that's okay. New people are coming in who are meant to be in your life, and maybe they're not meant to be in your life forever. Take everything with a grain of salt. The world is a mirror for how you see yourself. And I think that's all I got today. For the friends you do have who are there, who will always be there forever, send them some love today. Give them a hug if you see them. Send a text letting them know how much you appreciate them. Because those good friends, we love our fucking good friends. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening or for watching. I will be back next week to chat with you. Until then, stay well, be well, and have an amazing day. Bye, guys.